I was optimistic the entire time, but man, this is getting bad. All right. So reading the title, y'all already see, man, WNBA offered no proposal at critical CBA meeting. I mean, the owners are like, yo, we gave our last proposal. It is what it is. Take it or leave it. Now, I won't read the whole thing. I will summarize it because I read through it already. And I just wanted to pick
the WNBA players and owners sat in a room at league headquarters in New York City for 3 hours on Monday. And after all that time, after weeks of waiting, after the Players Association submitted its counterproposal more than 6 weeks ago, the league showed up with nothing. No new offer. No counterproposal. No concrete response. Just a vague assurance that they would start working on an official reply soon. That alone tells you how stalled these negotiations really are. Nneka Ogwumike, the union president, summed it up perfectly afterwards, saying, "That kind of set the tone for the conversation because we were hoping to hear otherwise." Translation: the players expected progress and instead got silence again. This wasn't a breakthrough meeting. It wasn't even a step forward. It was confirmation that the two sides are still miles apart. At this point, the frustration is no longer abstract. Free agency is frozen. Roster planning is impossible. Players don't know what they're going to be paid, where they might play, or when decisions will even be allowed to happen. Teams are releasing schedules, selling tickets, and promoting star players while the people who actually make the league run are still waiting for basic answers. And that's what makes this situation genuinely concerning. You can't build momentum while ignoring your workforce. You can't sell stability when negotiations are barely moving. Every delay increases the risk of chaos, rushed decisions, or worse, a disruption to the season itself. This is no longer just tense. It's messy. And if the league doesn't start matching words with action soon, the question of whether we actually see WNBA basketball this season stops sounding dramatic and starts sounding realistic.
Now, Kelsey Plum did say she just wanted to get in front of the owners, have a heart-to-heart, have a conversation with them, and I guess that's what this meeting really was, man. It was nothing new. It was just going over how they felt about the first meeting or that last meeting that they had, right? Now, it's crazy because Kelsey Plum and Phoebe did not make it to this meeting in person.
Here's what makes that meeting even more troubling. Two of the most prominent voices in these negotiations, Kelsey Plum and Breanna Stewart, weren't even in the room. They joined via Zoom. According to reporting, they were expected to be there in person but had flight issues. Flight issues. For one of the most important labor meetings in WNBA history, two of the highest-ranking union representatives couldn't physically get to New York City. That matters. Nneka Ogwumike was there. Alyssa Thomas showed up. Brianna Turner made it. Other players cleared their schedules, traveled, and sat across from league leadership face-to-face. Meanwhile, the two players who have been most vocal publicly about wanting transparency, urgency, and direct conversations with ownership were reduced to faces on a laptop screen. Fair or not, perception matters in negotiations. When league executives are sitting in the room and key union leaders are calling in remotely, it subtly shifts the power dynamic. It gives the league cover to treat the meeting as informal, exploratory, or non-committal. And when the league already walked in without an offer, that visual only reinforces the sense that this wasn't taken with the urgency players have been demanding. This isn't about blaming Plum or Stewart personally. Travel issues happen. But in moments like this, preparation is part of leverage. If players want to be taken seriously as equal partners in these talks, the optics of who shows up and how absolutely matter. And this meeting, from every angle, looked disorganized at the exact moment unity and pressure were needed most.
Players met in person with the league and members of ownership since the fall and roughly 6 weeks since the union's last proposal was sent. 6 weeks. Man, this is crazy. The WNBA did not counter the players' proposal at Monday's meeting. Instead, it was communicated to the union on Monday that the league would begin working on an official response to their proposal. Now, Nneka ended up stating that they told them that.
Now let's get into what actually happened in that room, because the details matter more than the headlines. On the player side, 4 representatives were physically present: Nneka Ogwumike, Alicia Clark, Brianna Turner, and Stephanie Dawson. On Zoom, you had Kelsey Plum, Breanna Stewart, Elizabeth Williams, and roughly 40 additional players listening in. That tells you something important right away. The rank-and-file players are engaged. They're paying attention. They're anxious about their futures, their contracts, and whether this season is even going to happen as planned. Now compare that to the ownership side. 4 owners showed up in person. 4. The Connecticut Sun owner, the Seattle Storm owner, the New York Liberty owner, and 1 additional representative. Matt Ishbia of the Phoenix Mercury joined via Zoom. And that was it. That's the league's presence in a meeting that followed 6 weeks of silence after the players submitted a counterproposal. Think about that imbalance. Dozens of players dial in to hear updates that directly impact their livelihoods, while ownership sends a handful of representatives and no new offer. No counter. No framework. Just vague assurances that they'll start working on a response. That's not momentum. That's stalling. Good faith negotiations don't look like one side showing urgency and the other showing up empty-handed. And when the league already controls the schedule, the arenas, the broadcasts, and the cash flow, walking into a meeting with nothing to offer sends a clear message. There's no rush on their end. The players feel it, and after this meeting, it's hard to argue they're wrong.
He said earlier in the day it was reported by ESPN that strong debate was occurring among members of the WNBPA's 7-team executive committee. According to this report, one group believes now is the time to stand firm in the pursuit of a revamped revenue model. The other group, meanwhile, is less inclined to pursue a strike. Hey man, here it is. Here it is, man. You have half saying, let's get it done. You have half saying, hey, hold out just a tad bit longer. I knew this was coming.
I had a feeling this was coming. Earlier that same day, ESPN published a report that should worry anyone hoping to see WNBA basketball this season. According to their sources, there is serious debate happening inside the WNBA Players Association's 17-member executive committee. The group is reportedly split into 2 sides. One camp believes this is the moment to stand firm and keep pushing for the revenue-sharing model they've been demanding. The other camp is more cautious. They're looking at the league's offer, which is the largest financial proposal in WNBA history, and asking whether holding out any longer is worth the risk. Union leaders Nneka Ogwumike and Alicia Clark moved quickly to shut that report down. They publicly denied any division, insisting the union is united and everyone is on the same page. On the surface, that sounds reassuring. But here's the reality. ESPN doesn't publish stories like this without solid sourcing. They don't invent internal conflict out of thin air. Someone inside that executive committee is clearly talking. And when a major outlet reports disagreement, followed immediately by strong public denials, it often signals the opposite of unity. It usually means there are real disagreements behind closed doors, but leadership is trying to keep them from spilling into the public eye. That makes sense strategically, but it doesn't erase the tension. If players are split between pushing for long-term gains and protecting short-term stability, that's a serious problem, especially with the season approaching fast, free agency delayed, and owners showing little urgency. Whether the union wants to admit it or not, this moment feels fragile. And the longer these disagreements simmer, the harder it becomes to present a strong, unified front at the bargaining table.
Have players who don't necessarily have these endorsements that they could just live off of while they're fighting for this new CBA, right? So I can only imagine that some players are like, yo, look, this is more money than I've ever seen on a contract. We need to go ahead and do it. But then you have some of them saying, you know, look, if they're willing to give us this, just imagine how much we're worth. So I understand that too, but man.
This is where the player situation gets really complicated. Not everyone in the league is standing on equal financial ground right now. You have superstars like Breanna Stewart, Kelsey Plum, and Nneka Ogwumike who have endorsement deals, overseas contracts, and multiple income streams outside of their WNBA salaries. If negotiations drag on or even collapse, they have the financial cushion to survive it. Missing games or even an entire season, while painful, wouldn't put them in immediate danger financially. But that's not the reality for most players in the league. A large portion of the roster is making around $75,000 a year. They don't have shoe deals. They're not getting paid big money overseas. For them, the league's current offer represents the largest paycheck they've ever had in professional basketball. It's not just a raise, It's financial security they've never experienced before. And now those players are being asked to potentially walk away from that opportunity in the name of long-term revenue sharing. That's where the tension really comes from. It's not about loyalty or unity in theory. It's about real-life pressure. Different players are facing very different risks. What feels like a calculated stand for a star can feel like a gamble with rent, family obligations, and career stability for everyone else. That gap in reality is what's quietly driving the strain inside the union right now.
Y'all coming into this meeting without a new proposal. But at the end of the day, I mean, Kelsey Plum did state that she just wanted to get in front of the owners and have a heart-to-heart. Honestly, maybe this was needed because the league or the owners were not answering you guys at all. They were ignoring you all. But now it seems like they're working on an official proposal. So maybe this meeting was needed. Maybe the owners heard them out a tad bit more. I don't know. We're going to see if a new proposal.
So what did the owners actually say in this meeting? According to reports, they set the tone immediately, and not in a good way. Right at the start, they volunteered that they didn't have a proposal ready. They didn't wait for questions. They didn't frame it carefully. They simply opened with, "We don't have anything new for you today." Instead, the owners told the players they would begin working on an official response to the union's last proposal. Let that sink in. That proposal was submitted 6 weeks ago, and only now are they saying they're starting to work on a response. Not finalizing it, not revising it, just beginning. Nneka Ogwumike said that moment defined the entire conversation, and it's easy to see why. The players pushed for this meeting because they wanted clarity. Kelsey Plum had been clear that she wanted to sit face-to-face with ownership, to have an honest, serious conversation about the future of the league. She wanted accountability and direction. What the players got instead was a shrug and a promise to circle back later. No framework, no counter, no timeline. Just, "We'll get back to you." In a negotiation this important, that kind of response doesn't feel neutral. Feels dismissive. And for players who are already frustrated, it only deepened the sense that their urgency isn't being matched on the other side of the table.
I promise you. So as they stated, we're still at the status quo right now. Hopefully something gets done. I mean, Caitlin Clark ended up reassuring people who were watching the CBS not CBS, NBC, that something would get done. They would get it done within a few weeks. So hopefully that happens so we can see some hoops, man.
What's really happening here comes down to the psychology of negotiation. The owners are playing a waiting game, and they know exactly what they're doing. From their perspective, they've already put a strong offer on the table. It includes major salary increases, charter flights, better working conditions, and improvements across nearly every area players have complained about for years. Now, instead of moving closer, they're sitting back and letting time do the work for them. Every day without a deal brings the season closer. Every week that passes increases anxiety for players who don't know if they'll have a paycheck. The owners understand that time pressure doesn't hurt them nearly as much as it hurts the players. They know financial stress will start to crack unity inside the union. Players without endorsement deals or overseas money will feel that pressure first, and eventually they'll start asking leadership why they're still holding out. From that angle, why would the owners rush? Why negotiate against themselves when their current offer already favors patience? That's what players like Alyssa Clark and Nneka Ogwumike mean when they talk about a lack of urgency. The owners don't see this as a crisis because for them it isn't one. They can afford to wait. Recently, Caitlin Clark made comments during an NBC broadcast that gave fans hope, saying she expects a deal to get done in the coming weeks. She sounded confident, like someone who believes things are trending in the right direction. And maybe she's right. Maybe the league is quietly working on a response that closes the gap. But there's reason to be cautious about putting too much weight on that optimism. Caitlin isn't in the negotiating room. She's not sitting across from ownership. She's hearing things secondhand, likely filtered through union leadership and veteran players who are trying to keep everyone calm. That reassurance may be genuine, but it doesn't automatically mean a deal is close. Zooming out, this fight isn't just about salaries. It's about the WNBA's business model. The league's proposal would more than double pay for many players, commit to charter flights, upgrade facilities, and expand benefits. That's a massive financial commitment. The players, meanwhile, are pushing for revenue sharing. They want to be treated as partners, not just employees. in a league they believe is finally taking off. The problem is that the WNBA still isn't consistently profitable. Many teams lose money, and the league has relied on NBA support for years. When players talk about sharing revenue, owners look at the books and ask a hard question. What revenue is there to share right now? The players see growth, momentum, and future value. Owners see operating costs, long-term risk, and thin margins. Both sides have valid points, which is why this is so difficult. The 3-hour meeting didn't resolve any of that. It didn't move negotiations forward in a meaningful way. Owners showed up with a small delegation and no new proposal, which doesn't signal urgency. It signals confidence that waiting will work. The union still says a strike is on the table, but threats only matter if the other side believes you'll follow through. After deadlines have passed and talks keep extending, it's fair to wonder if owners still believe it. Now everyone is waiting to see who blinks first. Players who need stability or owners who need a product. That choice is coming fast, and whatever happens next will decide whether there's a season at all.